8:18 p.m.
An inmate at the Salinas Valley State Prison, Soledad, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Hi, Aaron. How you doing?
Not bad. What's new in the zoo?
Wait a minute. Say that again. I got a lot of real loud noise behind me, and you're not coming through very loud.
I said, what's new in the zoo?
Oh, okay. The animals are riotous right now. There's a lot of noise from them behind me. I keep meaning to tell you, I received the nice postcard that you sent. Actually, I received it before I talked to you guys the last couple times. I just kept forgetting to tell you. It's post dated the 13th of July. I received it like July 18th, and I don't think I ever thanked you for that. So thank you for that kindness. You're just a kind thought of a postcard sent to me by you. So I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is Rudy on?
Yes, I'm absolutely here. And hey, while you're on the phone, you can get paperbacks, and you can get more than 5 pieces of paper in an envelope, right? If I put like 10 pieces of paper in an envelope, it'll get to you, right?
Yeah, you can put any amount of paper in an envelope, and it'll get to me. And as far as books, yeah, paperback books, but they have to come from a book distributor, somebody who, it just has to say on the envelope with the box, it's from like an address or name of a book distributing company, and it should have a little label too that anybody can, just put on there to say this is a book distributor or publishing company, the book's in here, so something like that on the envelope, and it'll make it to me. Okay. And it takes a lot longer than regular mail. It takes maybe a month or something like that to reach me, but and I always let you know, once I've got them, I always let somebody know I've received that sort of thing. So, in fact, I mentioned to you I received 1 in a million from Pat Shannon, and then I found out our last call that you had ordered that for me, and thank you again for that.
No problem.
I wanted to mention that a lot of people who might be listening out there don't know, and I think I touched on this before, but I want to emphasize it a lot more right now, is that a lot of people out there, everybody's heard of Dr. Oz on television. I guess a lot of people still think that he's just a medical show. Well, granted, he's a great heart surgeon, and he does some medical stuff, and he does a lot of food stuff and nutritional stuff. It's really great. But in the last year or less than a year, he started branching out and doing everything. He does every kind of social thing or unusual thing. He's been breaking a lot of news stories before anybody else. He's been having some of the biggest news stories out there. He's been interviewing people that nobody else does, that are exclusive interviews and that sort of thing. I consider him the absolute premier show for any type of thing like that could help me. So I've written him a number of times, but I don't know if the address I have is a proper address. Nothing's ever come back to me. I've been writing him for over a year. I even wrote a jingle for a show. I even wrote the jingle in music on the outside of the envelope after about the third time that I didn't get a response. So anyway, I'd love to have people out there get a proper address for Dr. Oz. If they go to his website, droz.com, it is DOCTOR spelled out, droz.com, they can get a proper address, and I'd like you or somebody to send me all addresses, all contact information for him. And even more than that, it would be great if some people would phone into there, because that way they can get a one-to-one communication, maybe the producer or somebody like that, because he's a real personable guy. The way he runs his shows, I don't know if you've ever watched him, but he's even more personable than Oprah Winfrey. So, he's very approachable in that sense. In the other sense, I mean, he's probably as hard to get on the actual line personally with him, or to get a personal response from him, probably as hard as Donald Trump or the governor of California. But as far as getting somebody, and then if he gets the message from those somebodies, I think we stand a good chance of him looking at my case. And what really bolsters that is he has 2 days a week now that he has what's called Crime Tuesdays and Crime Thursdays, where he divides his show into 2 segments. It's an hour-long show, and at least one of the half-hour segments is about some sort of crime stuff. Now, oftentimes he has some real heinous thing because it's sensational, but for example, today he had on there a guy that's been claiming his innocence for 36 years in prison. It was a really big case. I think it was Atlanta, Georgia, where that black young man got convicted of 2 murders, but they said that he also was responsible for all those other 16 mass murders. Anyway, he was on today as pleading about his innocence. So Dr. Oz is right for my situation, and I've written him repeatedly telling him, look, you're missing out on
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
The biggest, most unusual judicial case in California history, because I've got all these firsts that have never happened to anybody else in California history, probably about 20 firsts at least. And I'm not getting through to him probably because there's a ton of competition. I'm sure the mail they get is just beyond what any of us could imagine. That's why I need more people writing, more people persisting, not write once or twice, but on and on and on until we get responses, and even more so to email and phone call. I think phone calls are by far the most important because you'll know if you reach somebody and you'll be able to get two-way communication. So I urge that with the strongest emphasis possible for you, Rudy, Aaron, and anybody else that's listening, Ken Massat, and all the other listeners out there that tune into your program, your website, YouTube, and all that. Please contact Dr. Oz on my behalf, and I think we'll get somewhere with it if we get enough people doing it.
You bet. I don't have any contact information for him now, but I'll put it on my things to do, to try to find some addresses and phone numbers and maybe websites, whatever avenues we can find to reach out to him.
I know they're out there because somebody, and I can't even remember who it was, I'm so overwhelmed with so much all the time. Somebody got me some contact information for him. I think there's a phone number, and of course I can't call him because he's not hooked up with GTL to take a collect call, but I think there was a phone number in there, and I know there was a website, and I think there was a mailing address that is buried somewhere, and I don't even know where it is. So anyway, if you can kind of try to re-get that and anything else I might not have even had in the first place, and then I know right where I'm going to put it this time to where it won't get buried under anything, and I'll be writing him a lot more myself when I get further contact information. I wanted to also ask about, from day one, when this thing happened, my first idea was to have public protests at the courthouse lawn, legal protests, get a permit or whatever you have to do that legally. And I had a lot of supporters in that area where I lived at the time and in the Santa Clara County area where the trial was held, and to protest this stuff that I hadn't proven all of it. Now I have the proof, the 3552 carries that proof. So I'm just wondering, now so many of my supporters have diminished, so many of my friends have died, family members died, and so on. So I'm wondering if we could do something like a virtual protest online. I don't know what that would look like. I'm computer illiterate. I'm website illiterate, but I'm just dropping the seeds out there. If somebody could maybe take that idea and run with it, develop it to where we do like a virtual online protest and put it before the parole board, put it before the governor, put it before the courthouse, whatever we can do. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I was thinking we have another prisoner who's done a survey. You could write a survey and people could take the survey maybe?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if that would apply to you. We did have a prisoner put out a 9-question survey, and he wrote about his case, and he asked people to answer the questions, and one of the questions at the end was, should I be released? And he's got overwhelming positive support, and people were answering in the affirmative. But in your case, there's a petitions that probably could be set up. You already have a Facebook, you have a website, you have YouTube, but there's change.org, which allows petitions to be set up. But here's just the reality of the situation. We kind of live in Sodom and Gomorrah. And are you aware that Alex Jones was recently taken down off YouTube and Facebook and Google? And you probably heard that on the news.
I was watching TV last night briefly, and I just saw one of those, I forgot what they call it, the little strip that goes by on the bottom of the news cast, the little written strip that states things in a nutshell. Yeah. And I saw that, and in a way, I'm not surprised considering what they've been doing with, American Free Press and different things like that, but disappointed. But yeah, that was a big blow.
It's the First Amendment, freedom of speech, is really being attacked in this country, and I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but it's almost like we're on the verge of a civil war, because any speech about anything truthful and false flags and innocent prisoners, it's like the left just doesn't want to hear anything whatsoever. Although the left, prison industrial complex and too many people in prison is one of their issues. It's one of the rare issues where I think the right and the left could come together and advocate together, because
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah, that's true. I recognize that, and it presents a dilemma for me, though. It kind of goes 180 degrees in the other direction as far as help versus non-help for me, because those people are normally pro-prisoner, help prisoners, that sort of thing. But because I'm a prisoner who's in here for using a firearm, albeit in a legal way, and it saved a man's life, i.e. mine, they're so much against firearms that I don't typically get them on my side. But I do have a few friends that are real left-wing, and those people, of course, on my side. So there's some possibly that will come on my side.
Let me just quickly share. There was a video that went viral on Facebook, and I just saw it yesterday. It was absolutely shocking. They were interviewing these, what do you call them, millennials?
It was a gun grabber rally, and they were interviewing these people, and she said, even if somebody breaks into your house, an intruder, you shouldn't be able to shoot them. And then they were all chanting, shame, shame, shame.
It was absolutely shocking that these millennials and these gun-grabbing rallies, they actually believed that you don't have the right to defend yourself in your own house if an intruder comes in and tries to attack you. And, the argument that they gave was, well, the judge would not sentence them to death if they got caught. But I'm like, you have the right to defend yourself. That's an inherent right that is God-given. All creatures, even porcupines can, so.
And if I can interject, I hate to keep interjecting, but I know we're going to run out of time. And
I know.
Have back and forth interruptions, but I would say to that a couple of things. One would be, well, first of all, in my case, it wasn't just a matter of somebody broke into my house. It was a matter of, it was either he was going to kill me or I was going to disable him from killing me, and I disabled him, and unfortunately he died without a doubt at the hands of the police and officials later. But the other thing I would say, I would ask those people is, okay, let's say you're in school, or you're in let's say you're in the local ice cream parlor, and a big guy, say 3 thugs, walk up to you and they just start pummeling your face and beating your face down into the ground and kicking your head in the ground. If you have the opportunity, do you think you should just put your hands to your side and let your face keep being pummeled in? It isn't any different.
I agree.
If somebody comes into wherever you are,
these people are so stupid, and they've been so fluoridated that their brains are gone, and it's hopeless.
I got it. I totally got it, and I see it just like you see it, clear as day. And maybe take something like that to wake them up, because I believe me, natural instinct would take over if that scenario happened, and they would start raising their arms at least to block and defend, and that's exactly what you do with a firearm when somebody comes at you with a meat cleaver or something along that line.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a stepped up version of the same thing. All a gun is an extension of your arms and your feet or knees or whatever you can do to block somebody's blows against you. It's just an extension of that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, this is something that's so well understood from the culture that I come from. I just can't believe that other people haven't figured that out. But in any event, it's well established. They even call it the castle law. The right to defend yourself in your home, and in your case, your life. You're defending your life. So.
Right.
Yep. But
now there clearly are some abuses. I think that guy that was on TV a week and a half ago in Florida, where the big black guy slugged him and knocked him down on the ground. He just pulled.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Killed him for that. I think that's an abuse. I think that was not a proper use of a firearm. That he went. That was very excessive under the circumstances.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But you know, I mean, he might have been able to scare the guy just by pointing it at him. I think that happens more than people having to actually pull the trigger on one.
Yeah.
You know, that you can ward somebody off just by them seeing you have one. So anyway, that unfortunately, it's abuses like that that make it hard for me to.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Especially when a DA wants to say, well, I went too far because I fired 4 shots, or five shots. They say was expelled out of my gun, 4 that actually hit him, according to them.
Yeah. Well, our prayers are with you.
Okay,
for
we're going to run out of time.
I'll try to get a letter in the mail to you about Dr. Oz.
Thank you. Okay, and we're aiming for next Monday.
Yes.
For a week from yesterday, so I think that'll work out okay. I hope so.
I hope so too.
So we'll be in touch in the meantime. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Free Lazor. He's got his own webpage, his own Facebook, 400 character witnesses that signed letters of support and asking for his freedom. I pray that you check his case out. 35 years in prison. His sentence should have only been half of 17, and I believe he was defending himself in his own home and should have never spent a day in prison.